This week we have a special edition of the Everyday Eurasia Podcast. Voices from across the region take us on a journey from Easter to Pentecost. Today we will join Dr. Svetlana Khobnya, Nazarene Theological College Manchester.
The truthful Easter story starts with the words recognizing Jesus' resurrection. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. When Jesus' disciples, then and now, admit that Jesus did not remain in the grave, but was raised by the Father and is alive, preparing a place for his disciples at the side of his Father. This is not just an assumption. Matthew, Luke, and John testify to us how the risen Jesus appeared to his disciples and how they were at first shocked in disbelief, but eventually, filled with joy and hope, they continued worshiping God in their midst. The resurrection is not the conclusion of Easter. It is the beginning. The Ascension is its culmination. At the end of Matthew 28, we encounter the risen Jesus with his disciples in Galilee. While Matthew does not explicitly describe the Ascension, his Gospel closes with a scene charged with its power. Jesus appears not only to prove that he is alive, but to commission his followers. The Ascension moment completes the story of Emmanuel, God with us. The Ascension journey to the Father, Jesus opens the way for us to share in his relationship with God through the Spirit. The final encounter with Jesus, described in Matthew, is marked by both worship and doubt. And yet, Jesus entrusts his mission to these imperfect disciples, saying, "Go and make disciples of all nations." The Ascension is not simply to believe in the resurrection. The Ascension live as Easter people, to obey, to baptize, to teach, and to remember that he is with us always, even to the end of the age. The Ascension is not about absence. It is about presence, and presence in a new way. Jesus has not abandoned his followers. Instead, he promises the ongoing presence of his power, his Spirit, his authority. The Ascension is the story of God's power at work, of Christ preparing a way for us, even as he sends us into the world. The Ascension moment in Matthew 28 also reveals the universal scope of Jesus' mission. The promise to Abraham that all nations would be blessed comes into view here. Baptism marks entry into this community of faith, and teaching shapes lives in obedience to Christ. The gospel is not just about private belief, but about forming a new people who reflect God's kingdom on earth. So, as we close this series on encounters with the risen Christ, Matthew invites us not simply to marvel at the resurrection, but to step into its continuing story. The risen and ascended Christ meets us not in in joy, but in doubt. He calls us to participate, not as spectators, but as disciples, carrying his presence into the world. So, let us, like those earlier followers, worship even while we wonder. Let us trust that Jesus is indeed with us, and let us live with boldness, hope, and obedience, because Christ is risen, ascended, and reigning. And because he lives, everything has changed. Heaven and earth are no longer apart. God is with us. and we are sent.
Thank you for listening to the Everyday Eurasia podcast. To find more of our Easter to Pentecost resources for individuals and small groups, please visit our website eurasiaregion.org.